One of the objectives of my action research project was to try to address Valencia College's core student competencies, which are think, act, value, and communicate. As a professor here on Valencia's West Campus in the architecture department, I've noticed that the students in my architectural design courses lacked effective oral presentation skills. So I wanted my action research project to actually address that issue within our program. What I decided to do was to videotape the students' midterm and final projects. And they had to orally present these projects to not only myself, but to their classmates and also guest critics. And the guest critics were other architectural faculty members and also working professionals or working architects in our Central Florida community. So the students were videotaped when they presented their midterm presentations without any, without any instruction. So they had to figure out for themselves how to effectively orally present their projects and their ideals. So that required them to think about what their ideals and concepts were, and to also to put that into action and in terms of a value component. And so during the midterm, the students presented their projects. I videotaped them. And after the midterm was over, I spent an entire week of classes to just go over each individual's video presentation with the assistance of an assessment rubric. And the assessment rubric basically broke down 4 components that the students need to be mindful of when they actually begin to orally present, and how they could begin to improve upon those four components using different techniques. And so we viewed each student's individual video. Not only did I critique them, but their peers critiqued them as well. And what I wanted to, the objective was that we would do a comparison and a contrast between the midterm and the final. So at the final presentation, when they presented their projects for the final time, I re-invited the same faculty members and also the same guest critics from the architectural community, and they presented their projects. And what we found out was that when we actually saw the before and after videos, there was a extreme difference, an improvement in the way that the students were able to effectively present their architectural ideals. And that had everything to do with the assessment rubric and then being able to evaluate their own presentations and realizing that there are 4 key components in terms of presenting effective orally that they can improve upon as students. So that's how I begin to implement the Valencia Community College's student core competencies of think, value, communicate, and act. My students had to do all 4 of those components in order to go from not being so successful in terms of presenting orally their arguments to being quite successful in presenting the oral arguments to a class of their peers.